Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Rod O'Loughlin here. We're on Talking Heads on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And if you're watching us today on YouTube, please consider being a subscriber to USA Global TV and Radio or Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. The programs are found on both those two platforms on YouTube. Typically, let me go ahead and get my slides rolled up here right while we're doing. Boom, let's get that going. There we are. Okay. See what happens when okay, perfect. Normally I talk about health and wellness. I've been writing a book called Aging Sucks here lately. Just finished it up this past week, and I just kind of got burned out on a lot of things. Oh, I got a whole lot of material. I could create slides on any topic. But I just need to get away from it today because I'm going to start editing later on today. And the longer you get away from a book that you've written, the easier it is to see errors and things that, oh, did I say that? Okay. So anyway, I decided to go with a slightly different topic, but something that I think is critical. I'm also doing a series on another networking show about credibility, particularly credibility for authors. So I said, well, let me take some of that same data and talk about it here today. So my general topic is, why do some people become trusted agents and others don't? And we are seen live on Amazon Fire, E360 TV, YouTube, Android TV, social media, and more. And all my programs typically are on health and wellness, and I say they're for awareness and education. But today they're for awareness and education also, but not necessarily on health and wellness. So I can be found at redolaughlin.com, red like the color, R-E-D, O'Loughlin, O-L-A-U-G-H. L-I-N, redolaughlin.com. My books are there, all my contact information, social media, about 1,500 blogs, a couple hundred videos, all sorts of stuff can be found there. So I already talked to you about YouTube, USA Global TV. Our live shows are there. Our archive shows are there. You want to see an old show of Talking Heads, go there, go to the playlist, type in Talking Heads, and Red O'Loughlin, and all of my old shows for the last couple, 3 years, 4 years, whatever it may happen to be, are there. I specialize in root cause analysis. That's what I've been doing most of my last 20 some years, 30, 25 years anyway, since the mid 90s. I guess it is 30 years. And most of it dealt in the oil field industry, when the failures of parts that we put down hole in a drilling rig, they fail, or they fail going to a rig site, or they fail, some other foreign country, Mexico, Thailand, whatever. And so I was involved with, why did it fail? And then I was also involved with, well, how do we design these things so they don't fail, or if they fail in a certain way, safe, so to speak. And so about 10 years, 11 years, 12 years ago, my wife had breast cancer, and I took my chemical background that I had, my first degree in chemistry, and I started looking at, well, let's look at chemo and radiation. What is there that can be extracted? Say, well, maybe if I do this, this happens. And so I started looking at what causes what to happen. My root cause analysis. The program I used back at Halliburton was called Taproot. And it really goes down about 7 levels of, well, why did that happen? Okay, well, if that happened, why did it happen? And then you start looking at, about 7 different levels of why. So that's what I use nowadays when I do my research. I go into a human body, I look at the cellular level, what's going on. So my book, Aging Sucks, is the one that's coming out. I'm looking at the causes of aging. I'm looking at the causes of health, and I'm looking at the pathways of disease. what causes these things to happen? What can you do about it? So I consider myself a translator of complexity, especially human body. I try to focus on not only what helps, but what makes things worse. Basically, a decision support manual for aging more so than anything else. I'm a researcher, never been in the medical or pharmaceutical fields. My first degree is chemistry. I got an invitation to Vietnam. Never got a chance to apply it until literally here in the last few years. I got 5 academic degrees, 7 professional certifications. Most of my background there in the professional world is quality engineering, reliability engineering, and logistics engineering. Spent 31 years in the Navy, retired as a captain, flew for 16 years, got to over 60 countries. I did get an invitation to Vietnam at the beginning and an invitation to Bosnia at the end. Why cause and effect? Because if you can treat a cause of a problem, you can generally fix the problem. But if you're treating symptoms, the cause is still there. It hasn't been touched. And sometimes the cause gets worse and you don't even know about it. So that's why I like cause and effect. Let's get to what is the real problem. Some personal information. Been married 57 years, a couple of kids, 3 grandkids, and our first great grandson just turned 2 at the beginning of the year. Best-selling author, 7 books, independent publisher. I've done 50 books for other authors. Distinguished Toastmaster. I've written over 1,000 LinkedIn original content articles. And here on the USA Global TV and Radio Network for 2025, I was the #1 most valuable team player for the network, and I was #3 host as far as the presentations went. A couple of books that might be of value in today's talk, no matter what you can do it, and failure is not an option, are 2 that I've written. And they deal to a degree with credibility, but they also deal a little bit with how do you make something happen and why do things happen. Mostly today is for informational, educational purposes. Disclaimer, I usually do this on all of my health and wellness shows, so I'm going to skip it today, but everything I do is for education and information awareness. Okay, real quickly, I put the line in the sand July 4th. I said that's when my book is going to be published. About 10, 11 days ago, I started writing the book. I finished it. Everything is done, first draft. So July 4th looks like a really good, safe date. I don't think there's going to be any problems meeting that date whatsoever. I plan on taking that book and having a webinar series where I can talk about aging, health, disease, and a few other things. The book is called Aging Sucks, but aging doesn't have to suck. Most of us don't know aging, but aging actually involves balance. Every second of every day, our body is just pummeled with damage. Things are going on left and right, up and down, backward and forward. However, our body has built-in repair systems. And if that repair system exceeds the damage being done, you're generally in pretty good health. But as soon as the damage accumulates faster than our bodies can repair it, now we start becoming at higher risk for disease and accelerated aging. Aging is an accumulated damage exceeding our repair capability. So as we start getting older, things change, but we have options. We actually have some level of control. But let's get right now into today's show. Why do some people become trusted agents and others don't? Well, why should anyone listen to you? Well, why do some people, they become, they blossom into, they're all over the place, and then a year, 2, 3, 5 years, they're gone. What happened to that person? Well, as all of us know, trust is earned. It's not given just because you have a title or anything else. But trust takes a long time to earn, and sometimes it's a very difficult thing. Our people, our personalities, our egos, it's a difficult thing to overcome. But as we start building a little bit of authority, it takes a long time to build. We are finally starting to climb that mountain of authority and credibility. But just as soon as you get near the top, or you're at the top and you've been at the plateau for a while, it can be lost literally overnight. The people that faded away, something they did wrong. They did something wrong that the public didn't like, and boom, they're gone. Can they come back later? Yeah, they have. But all of a sudden, you're spending all your time and energy to get to here, and then you're here, and then something happened, whether your fault or not, we're not going to say, then you lost it all. Many years ago, when I was in the military, probably the mid 80s, I'm going to guess, I was involved in a command that we taught what was called prospective commanding officer, prospective executive officer courses. These were officers who were selected to command and they usually have a year and a half as an XO, year and a half as a CO. And we had a 2-day course on what does it take to be a commanding, what's expected. And so we go through there. And I took a look at the syllabus, and I think there was 3 of us teaching the course at that time. And the first thing I noticed that there wasn't a single thing in the course that had been taught that said, how do you get fired? What do you have to do? I mean, you can have a sexual event with one of the people below you. You can lose some classified data. Lots of things. But the thing is, most people don't know what it takes to get their butt kicked out of the job. And we see this happening periodically, even today. The commander of this task group or this submarine or this squadron or whatever is no longer there. They've been replaced. What happened? Well, sometimes we kind of know, sometimes we don't know. But anyway, but if you don't know what's going to get you fired, don't you think that'd be something really important to know? Well, I think the same thing applies in credibility and authority building. It's not enough to know just what to do. You must always know or be aware of, how do you get fired? How do you become untrusted? Well, you take a look at a lot of public figures that some of them thrive on sex and public feud, but that's not necessarily just because they're a Hollywood movie star or a basketball player or a congressman or whatever. We don't always survive the same. But let's assume that we just, the local, Joe Q. Public, John Smith, and you get involved in something that could have been preventable. Maybe nobody knows about it. But in today's world, we have cameras everywhere. We have people that want to tell the world. It's so easy to get caught up in that. So sex, public feuds, actually being wrong and not admitting you're wrong. Sometimes you say something wrong and maybe interpreted as racist or half a dozen other things. So we make the wrong statement at the wrong time and it's captured. Well, in today's world, visibility is super easy. Credibility is rare. But take a look at, go Google yourself. Go into AI and ask them to go do a real deep search into what can they find that's embarrassing? What can they find that would say, hey, this person's not qualified? Whatever they find, be aware of it. People change over time. What you did back in your teens and 20s and maybe 30s is not the same person you are today in your 50s and 60s. So those are things to be aware of. So if you find something, maybe it's better to say, hey, 10 years ago I said this, but I've actually researched a lot. I've changed my opinion. This is what I believe today. And you get more respect for saying why you changed your mind than just trying to cover it up. So moving on, what's the next question? So what is authority? It's basically perceived expertise, trustworthiness, consistency, reliability. People believe in you. It's take a look at the people you believe in, whether they're on TV or in the radio media, wherever they're at. They might be in your church, they might be in your school, they might be close friends, they might be in your company. Lots of places, military, lots of places that credibility is there. And who has it? A lot of times it's the people at the very top, but sometimes it's your peer, because that person has been through hell and back and they know what is going on. So, but how is credibility built? Through experience, again, through hell and back, through consistency, not being wishy-washy back and forth, up and down on issues, results. I hear this too many times. Did they accomplish anything? What do they have to prove what they're saying? Transparency. Are you hiding anything? That's a common buzzword. We're transparent, but when they say that, that's the first thing they're probably not. It's look at the words they're using. A lot of times they will say something and it's what's called transference. What they're saying about somebody is really who they are. And so I listen to these things, I watch it. Okay, fine. Is that really true? Can I find that? Well, authenticity. That's what we're talking about. That credibility. What skills do they have? Are they a great speaker on TV, or do they have to read everything? Are they great at solving problems, being able to answer questions off the cuff? A lot of skills out there. Maybe they're a skilled motivator. Maybe they're a skilled pastry chef. Lots of skills we have out there. What are you developing your expertise, your credibility, and your authority in? Those are the things that you need to be able to have those skills to show. I watch a lot of cooking shows, competition cooking shows. I have a real interest in, okay, how do you prepare this? And I see things, oh, wow, I didn't know that. But then you get some people on there and they are okay, but you give them a little bit of a challenge and they fall apart. So maybe they shouldn't have been on the show. But you get 30 people invited to a show, some are going to fall out right away. Okay, appearance. How do you look? Are you dressed for the authority or the credibility that you're seeking? If you're a surfing expert, and you're holding your surfboard and you're in a bathing suit, you're dressed appropriately. If you're a motivational speaker and you're dressed, in a nice outfit, okay, great. Make sure you're dressed all the time for the credibility that you want. Don't go up to the store and cutoffs and a ragged shirt. If you want to have consistency in who you are, that appearance needs to be seen all the time. Some people brand themselves by what they wear. I know one particular speaker, she wears blue jean attire all the time. Other people, cowboy hat. So be consistent. Social proof. Are other people out there telling the world, hey, that guy's really good at whatever that is? Are they an author? That's the area, author and speaker, the areas that I specialize in. So if they're an author, that kind of has a mystique above and beyond just being a mere speaker. It adds to being a speaker because now they have this speaking ability to say, hey, I'm an author. I talk on this subject. It may be something from, I wrote a book on dog walking, but I'm really speaking on inspiration or something else. They're disconnected, but the connection is I'm an author and a speaker. But if you're an author in the same topic that you're speaking in, now that gives you extra credibility literally instantly. Interviews, here on the USA Global TV and Radio Network, we have a lot of interview shows so that people can come on, and the mere fact that they're on a show, they're interviewed, they have a chance to be seen by a wide audience. And podcasts are available all over the place. So there's a lot of places that you can get your credibility built, but it doesn't happen overnight. Appearances, different than appearance. So where are you going? Let's say you're an author and you have a book signing and you don't tell anybody. Okay, well, shame on you. So you have a book signing and you say, hey, I'm going to be at Barnes & Noble at 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock tonight, here in whatever city. Let people know where you're at. If you're at an appearance with a networking group, take some pictures, put it on social media, say, had a great time here tonight, met so-and-so, here and whatever. So, but are you helping others or are you just helping yourself? That's what people see. It's you can, as I say, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but if you're really truly helping others, people see that. That's the kind of the part about transparency. They want to see who you really are. Okay, how is credibility destroyed? Overly exaggerate stuff. You're being fake. Plagiarism, inconsistency, overpromising all the time. People overpromise sometimes. All of a sudden, inflation goes up. This happens. Supply and demand. A lot of things happen in our world that we don't have control over. You overpromise something once, probably not a big deal. But if it's consistent, okay, we're going to clean up these streets. We're going to do this. We're going to, okay, it may be part of your platform. You're not getting the money to do it. Again, be aware that those kinds of things over time will lose your credibility. Things you say or do may end up as an integrity issue. Your ego. Some people have egos that, all of a sudden you're Joe Q Public. All of a sudden you get a little bit of notoriety, people investing in you, you're doing this, all your ego changes. And sometimes we expect it because you really need to have an ego in order to be able to get in front of people and say a lot of things and do things. You have to have that confidence. That comes in there. But sometimes we start selling before we're serving. So people see that right away. Well, okay, all you're doing is selling. You're not giving us anything. Sometimes you show up and you have to read everything and you haven't read it before. And it's very obvious. So poor preparation is a way to lose credibility. Some people chase trends. Is the trend something that's going to be around for a while? And it makes sense because that's in your industry. It's part of what you do. It's part of what you know. That may be something there. That trend is a good trend. But because that trend is there today doesn't mean that 5 years from now that trend is still going to be there. We don't know that. But just be aware that if you're chasing a trend and a new trend comes, you need to pivot periodically to make sure you're staying up with everything that's going on outside. Look at how many things happened during the pandemic. We had things going all different ways. Again, it's one of those, one of the many reasons that credibility is lost. But in real life, credibility loss is really preventable. You can explain something that went wrong, 20 years ago. Uh, just be honest with everyone. So who you are today versus yesterday, what happened? Why did you change? What do you believe today you don't believe that it happened earlier? Um, why does being an author matter? Well, you're no longer a product. You have actually taken some intellectual property and put it out there for the people. You're giving back, you're helping. And that is a big deal. And if you're speaking on those topics, that becomes a bigger deal because now you have something that establishes your authority, credibility, because you hold up the book and say, yeah, I wrote this. So that book is a credibility asset that opens doors. You can get into podcasts, you can get into TV, you get into speaking. Media wants to talk to you. You can get into consulting, coaching, you get interviews, podcasts, etc., TV, movies, opportunities, documentaries. You achieve an expert status. Authors are perceived differently. You may be a great speaker, and you say, "Well, do you have a book?" No, I don't. Okay, they'll overlook it. But if you have a book, okay, do you have it? And you sign it, you give it to them. It's an extra level of credibility that you can get. So SEO, AEO, GEO, they must all be considered at all times. We all know SEO, search engine optimization, AEO, answer engine optimization, and GEO, generative engine optimization. These are things that we see all the time. SEO is what we really do. It's what people look for in our world. It's the content of our website, the content of the articles we write. It basically goes to ranking and clicking and things like that. But part of our focus today is AEO. People want answers to questions. So if you're not answering questions, then you're not getting the AEO that you also need to go with the SEO. And the same thing with GEO. They want to know that there's some content out there that you're attributing yourself to. In other words, you are being a person who is being citations are taken from you. So there's a lot of things in there when you look at it. So when you're writing an article, are you actually thinking SEO? Okay. AEO? Okay. GEO. And worst case, send it to your chat GPT or whatever AI you're looking at. Say, write this article on these three. And they'll say, okay, it's great for SEO. You're lacking. At least you know what you're doing right now. If you've never done it before, it's one of those things that you should be able to be aware of. So when you're writing something, you're speaking, you're putting some post out on social media, at least be aware in the background, SEO, AEO, GEO. You notice the topic today. Why do some people become trusted agents and others don't? That's a question. Is that something that's AEO worthy? Yeah, because it's a question. Is it generative? Well, today I may not be having a citations or saying, the National Institute of Health says on this particular document. So depending on what you're doing, the GEO may play a greater role than AEO, but SEO is always going to be important. So that content that you're producing is something super critical. But all three, SEO, AEO, GEO, are part of the AI search routine that's going on to now. So your live streaming, Google indexing, searchability, social media, all of that stuff matters because when AI is looking at everything, it's pulling in and okay, here is what we found. That's who you are at this level. What do you need to get to the next one? Well, consistency, articles, testimonials, podcasts, all of those things are needed. So when you have search engine optimization, can you be found? Yes. Is what they're finding good? Well, that's what you're hoping. That's what you're working on. People may notice marketing once, but they follow credibility long term. It's what they believe after watching you repeatedly. So let's say you have a podcast you do every Wednesday afternoon, and you've been doing it now for 30 weeks. People go there. You have a topic that you're the expert on. You may be answering questions for people. You may be doing interviews. You may be doing a lot of things, but you're there. You're consistent. It's everything you're doing fits into who you are. So you can get borrowed credibility. You're on somebody else's podcast or on a live TV show here, like on the USA Global TV and Radio Network, or you're on CBS or some other network. So just the mere fact that you're on a platform that generates thousands, millions of views, that gives you borrowed credibility because you were there and somebody asked you a question, you're 2 minutes, you answer it, thank you. Associations, you belong to the right groups. Maybe you get invited to be a keynote address at a accountant seminar, or I'm going to a literary event here in Denver in a couple of weeks, and you can become part of an association that, okay, you're associated with this. What associations can help your credibility? Join them, be part of them, be active in them. Endorsements, media appearances, authority compounds like interest. A little here, a little here, a little here. All of a sudden, now you start growing a little bit. So, what do people not trust? Well, lately it's a lot of institutions. Now, you may believe that your institution is above board, but there's just so many things out there that are conflicting with that. Okay, well, I don't see it on CBS, ABC, but over here, when I do a Google search, I'm finding stuff I didn't see this. Why is this not being? Just because something's happening doesn't mean it's broadcast all over the place. Do your due diligence. Media, are they trustworthy? Depending on what the topic is. I think sometimes they are, but sometimes they're not. You have media influencers. Are they doing it because that's their job and then you're part of that? But people don't trust certain kinds of things that happen. If you show up and you're supposed to be really experienced in a particular topic, and that's the moment that's going on today, airplane crash, whatever, and you don't know anything about airplane crashes, why are you there? So don't embarrass yourself by getting yourself in a situation that you're not the expert that they need to have at that time. Now you can come on and say, I'm really skilled in this area over here. They asked me to give me an opinion. Okay, fine, you give an opinion. But AI changes your authority. It rewards your searchable experience. So all of a sudden now you have a lot of SEO out there because you're putting content out on blogs, websites, a lot of interviews, a lot of podcasts, all sorts of things. Now you have AEO because you've structured some of your articles, some of your podcasts to answer questions. And because of what you're doing, you have credibility because of the references that you're using or being used to describe you in your publications. So now you start having AI helping to compound like interest on top of everything else that's going on. So you get it repeated authority signals, boom, boom, boom. You get semantic consistency. In other words, the words you're using today mean the same thing that you're using those same words tomorrow, or the words are the same, but you're just kind of expanding it a little bit. So semantics is semantics, but make sure that you're consistent in what you're doing. You own the topic. It may be that you're the best pastry chef in Austin, Texas. It is what it is. Make sure that people know that you are the owner of that topic where you're at. What are some things that you can do? Create high quality content all the time. AI is there to help you. It's not there to do the job for you. It's there to help you. We want your own words. But maybe I'm going to brainstorm with AI, say, what's a good topic today? What's out there, and what fits, AI, me, what fits me to write about. And so you have a conversation back and forth. And it's not the fact that the AI is going to tell you to do this. It's going to let you think, okay, fine. I think most of my thoughts from AI is I have a conversation. We're brainstorming back and forth. Okay. I'm, 2 hours down the road and all of a sudden something, okay, let me follow up on that. I think that's what I want to do. But demonstrate your expertise, TV, podcasts, guest blogging is something a lot of people will go ahead and, you can blog on my website, write a book. It's easier than you think. I do this all the time with new authors. I say, take 30 questions, anything that you want to say about you, whatever your topic is. Let's say you're writing on 17th century sailing. What are 30 questions that people need to know to get that answer? That is an interview style. You're setting up as a question. Every question becomes a chapter. So you think and you think and you think. A couple weekends, you have 30 questions. Pick the best 12. Those are the ones that people really want to know the answers to. So I typically say, Uh, hey Joe, what's the first car you ever had? Tell me about it. Okay. You pick the question that it's so easy to answer that you don't even think, you just answer it. And so you structure these things as an interview going back and forth. You have a lot of bullets, you have some stories inserted in there, boom, 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 boom. You have a recording of your answer. And all of a sudden, now that recording can be put into a voice to text editor. You have a chapter that's already written. The editing is next to nothing. And now you have video snippets that you can be putting onto YouTube or onto social media. Uh, and you can use these things to start marketing even before you start writing. The book I'm writing right now, Social Aging Sucks. I started a month and a half early, telling people I'm going to write the book. It wasn't until last week ago Sunday I started writing the book. But market early, market often. Use text, use video. AI is super easy to use video trailers for what you're talking about. But brainstorm, get some good conversations going. Have a relationship and keep tweaking your AI because they sometimes go awry. But again, I don't know. Sometimes I'm looking for answers. Sometimes I'm not. It just sort of depends on what my need is for that day. But the prompt that you use is super critical. I have about a 3-page prompt that I use when I'm starting to do deep dives into the human body. But I have to keep occasionally slapping it up the side of the head saying, okay, we just spent another 5 questions going down this road. Why did you do this when I said, go back and re-add this to the prompt. We don't need to be doing this every time we do. So you have to build this up. I had a conversation a couple of months ago. I said, I don't care whether you're protecting my value or what. I want to know the information so I can protect myself. I said, you don't keep anything from me. You tell me what's out there, whether I want to hear it or not. So now I'm getting good information back from my AI. But it needs to know who you are. It needs to know who your audience is. It needs to know your intent. So it's going to take probably 2-3 months to really build a rapport with your AI that you can actually sit down and use it effectively. And then you start using another AI, you got to train that one all over again. So, but again, you get an answer, don't fully trust it. It has to be verifiable. So it's one of those things that you have to do. I mean, I use AI in Grammarly, and it says, okay, here's 7 different citations for the work that you presented with your intellectual property. Boom, boom, boom. So I go over to the fact checker, and it says, okay, at least these 5 are pretty good. These 2 are not, what they're saying, they don't agree with what you're saying. So you need to fact check your AI just because it gives it to you, and we all know that. But when you write your articles and your blogs, anything, make sure your content at least has a skimming for SEO, AEO, GEO, and publish in social media, Medium. There's a lot of places to publish your articles. Do you need a website? Maybe just a landing page. Talk to people in your field. Do you really need that? Some people do, some people don't. It just sort of depends. Some websites are super inexpensive to build. But again, who's your audience? Where are they looking? Can they find you? Can they find you? I mean, I have this problem fairly often with the guests I have. I have a guest coming on a show. I go try to find them. Their website isn't their same name. Okay. I look up their name, Joe Smith. There's 1,500 Joe Smiths. Joe Smith author. Okay, there's only 25 Joe Smiths author. So I start looking on each Joe. So I go to social media. I go and I try to find something that matches up with the information I have. You're out there, be found. You don't want to give them your phone number, give a Google phone number. They're free. Get a Google email. It's free. Lots of things. If you don't have a Google business profile, it used to be called Google My Business. Again, let people know. I did a couple of researches on people here literally this past week on something else. And all I could find was, contact me via Calendly. Well, I really need to talk to you on the phone right now. Can't find their phone, can't find their email. It's just you're making it difficult when they can't find you. I always post with photos. Try to get something that captures the eye. Quality matters. So if you're posting and you're not using photographs, consider it because that's a really big plus for what you're doing. Networking nowadays used to be all in person. With the pandemic, it became virtual. Now it's a little bit of both. Are you going to the right groups? Are you there at the right times, etc.? YouTube channel, do you have one? Are you answering questions on that one? Or are you asking questions of other people? Some people use was a Facebook Live, and they do some. I remember a guy on Facebook Live every day because he was doing an 11-day fast, and he was there every day at 6 p.m. to answer people's questions about how he made it through the day. And he had a real big following there toward the end of the 11th day. I think he went 12 or 13 days. But when you're there, resolve problems. What keeps people awake at night? People want answers to those kinds of questions. So there's just so many things: finances, work, relationships, health. You may not be the expert in some of those, but maybe there's some questions that keep people awake at night that you are the expert on. So the things that you do know well, that you're the expert, are they creating problems that you have solutions for? Why is a scam artist so successful? Because in the back of somebody's mind, they have a problem that keeps them awake at night. They don't know the answer, and a scam artist like that can solve their problem, and they're willing to give away thousands of dollars because somebody solved their problem. Are you planting seeds? Do you need time to grow? Yes. I've asked the question, what does it take to be a good fisherman? And they say bait and this and that and everything. What it takes is hungry fish. So you're planting seeds, you're waiting for that hungry fish. Somebody all of a sudden becomes hungry for your solution, they'll find you. Have a consistent brand, a product, a service. I brand me. You have a logo. Remember, cameras are everywhere. You start building authority way before the time that you think you're ready for it. If you think I really want to be over here, start in that direction. Incremental steps help. Publish, speak, teach, help people, but stay consistent. Credibility grows one interaction at a time. Wrapping up things here for today. My book, Aging Sucks, my planned release date, July 4th. I think it's very safe. Expect no problems at all meeting that date. I'm setting things up hopefully after this weekend that I'll be able to do pre-orders on the book, and I'll let people know. And somewhere in the middle of September right now, I'm planning on doing a series of webinars, taking a section of the book, and let's talk about what causes this, what can you do about it. The book is here at the 30,000 down to 5,000 foot level. I want to take it right down to ground level in my seminars. So webinars. So that's what I'm looking at for the future. I'm at the end of my show today. I appreciate your time. And again, if you are looking at the show today on YouTube, please consider being a subscriber to USA Global TV and Radio Network and to the Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck Network. Our shows today are posted on both platforms on YouTube. So have a wonderful time. I'll catch you next week. Take care, y'all. Bye now.
Hey, you. Psst. Yes, you. Watching this right now. Are you creating content, a blog, a podcast, a newsletter, going live on Instagram or TikTok, and still not seeing real visibility or growth? Here's why. Anyone can post, anyone can go live, but not everyone is positioned to be taken seriously. Right now, people are going to YouTube to search for experts, for answers, for credibility. So while you're putting in the work, someone else is being seen as the authority. Not because they know more, because they're positioned better. Now imagine this. Your own professionally produced TV show, marketed, distributed, optimized with SEO so people can actually find you. Not just seen, but searchable, discoverable, positioned. You're trained, you're coached, you're guided. No experience necessary, but you do have to be coachable, because this is about stepping into a higher level. This isn't about doing more, it's about doing it right. We've already built the platform, 2 YouTube channels, a global audience, a Silver Creator Award. So the question is, how much longer are you going to rely on temporary visibility when you could be building real authority? If you're ready to be seen differently, go to usaglobaltv.com and apply to host your own show. This is for individuals who are serious about investing in their visibility, their credibility, and their growth. If that's you, we're ready. USA Global TV and Radio, where your voice becomes your platform. Executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Videographer, Paul Garcia. Voiceover, Ed Vargas. All rights reserved. This production is the exclusive property of the USA Global TV and Radio and may not be reproduced, distributed, or used without written permission.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting. We're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.